month long, we're making smart money moves. But today, we're talking about what happens when money gets messy with family, faith, friendships, and loved ones. Ooh. Because sometimes the people we love are the hardest ones for us to say no to. You guys ready for this one? Uh oh, uh oh, uh oh. Guys, this is going to be a very heartfelt and eye opening live discussion. Let's get into it. But first, let me moderate the comments. We're not doing trolls today. If you want to troll, you have to be a subscriber for at least 20 minutes. So let me get that situated. Mm-mm. Okay. And that's been working for me pretty much. I don't have a moderator. I'm my own moderator. So, but I've been doing really good with limiting who can chat with me. So, we're going to let a few more of you get in. And before we get started, let me go ahead and pin a link or pin the directions as to how you can get your Money Getter merch. Guys, if you haven't been tuned in, if you didn't already know, yes, 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 we have new Money Getter merch. And if you would like to get yours, I'm going to pin a comment and tell you how you can get your Money Getter merch. So email me at, I'm going to put it in the link. Excuse me, I'm going to pin it to the comments. New Money Getter merch. Okay. Email me at cdarrell@gmail.com to find out how to get yours. Okay, and I've already posted the shirts on my community wall. So if you haven't seen them yet, go over to the community wall and check out the new merch. It's for money getters. The last shirts, I think it said Mommy Money Getter or something like that. This time, the shirts are just for the money getters, right? So go ahead and hit me up in the email. You can let me know what size you wear, and you can find out how to pay for your shirt and get it delivered to you lickety split. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm trying out different times this week just to see who or how many people are coming in the live. I just went live last night. So if you guys didn't see that one, go check out the replay. That was a good conversation. We talked about love and money and ambition and when to know if the person you're with is on board with you or if it's beneficial to stay with them. We talked about all of that. We got into all the messiness of it all, right? Because sometimes we're headed in one direction and our partner is kind of stagnant. But yes, go check that live out. It was the last one I posted before this one. So if you haven't had the opportunity to watch it, I highly, highly recommend that you do. Okay. So let's get into today's live. Um, have you ever loaned somebody money and the relationship was never the same again? Or felt guilty saying no, even when you knew you couldn't really afford to loan money? I've been there. Today we're talking about family, faith, and friendship and finances because when money enters the picture, things can get real sticky. Okay. Also, if I haven't already said it, let me welcome in the replay viewers, those of you who watch the live after it has already gone live. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and leaving your comments to let me know that you stopped by to watch the live. But quick story. about loaning money. I have, I don't really loan money out. I mostly will give a love offering. If I know someone is in need and I can help, I'll just give it to them. But there's always that one person in your family who you may close to, and I'll just say it. I'll just say it. I'll be honest, and they may see it, but I have this one family member. I won't say how they're related, but if they see this, they'll know automatically that I'm talking about them. But they're the type of person. Well, hopefully, I think they have changed somewhat. I don't know because I haven't loaned them money in the longest time. I would not loan this person money at all. If I had it and I didn't, and I knew that I wouldn't miss it, I probably would still want my money back or whatever. But I don't even loan it. If I have money to give and I know they're really in need, I will give it to them. But this person has hired me for work and paid me, and they still owe me for self publishing work that I done for them. This is a family member. They still owe me. We exchanged different things, like in exchange for work. They were supposed to do X, Y, Z. They didn't do it, and I spent hours and hours helping them. So, yeah. And so, also, this person is the type of person that will ask you to borrow money after they have already gone out and got their hair done, got their nails done. They have went to a concert. They went out buying food or whatever it is they want to buy. However, they did not pay their rent. They didn't make sure they had gas to carry them through for the next couple of weeks. So, and because you feel sorry for them or because they ask for a loan, you will go ahead and give it to them. Well, as I've gotten older, I've learned that people have to be responsible for making sure that they have what they need. That's not up to us, especially if we're responsible with our money. And I tend to be the type of person that I'm going to make sure that my children have what they need, that my household is set before I do anything like um, go get my nails done. Sometimes I may have the money to do the things that I want to do, right, for my extras, but it's something that can wait or that I can save or hold off on. And I'll do that a lot of times just so that I can make sure that my budget is cool. But I know people who won't do that. I know people, unfortunately, every month they're borrowing money. Every month they're borrowing money and they never have what they need. And we have to think about loaning our money to people like that, not because we want to be cutthroat or just be mean, but it's like, as an adult, why aren't you making sure that you pay for the things that are necessary, right? So, one thing my grandmother used to tell me, and we're going to get into segment one, loaning money to family and friends, right? And point number one is never loan what you can't afford to lose. My grandmother used to tell me when I was growing up that if you loan somebody some money, you're always taking the chance that you won't ever see that money again. So if you can afford to loan someone $1,000 without missing it, without it hurting your pocketbooks, don't do it. I don't care if it's $20. If you know you're going to need that $20 for whatever reason, and some people might say $20, what's $20 going to hurt? But sometimes $20 is going to make the difference between you being able to buy a pack of meat for you and your children, or it's going to make the difference between, hold on, guys, let me see something. You having gas money for that week, right? Don't give people money who, and you don't know if you're going to get it back. Don't give it out. If you don't know if you're going to get it back, don't give it out. If it's going to hurt you that bad, don't give it out, right? Okay. So, also, If, and I know this is going to be real like it's going to sound petty, or it's going to say like, well, this is family, this is my sister or whatever. But if you expect repayment, especially if it's at a higher dollar amount, if you're going to loan someone hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, get it in writing. Give them an IOU. If they intend to pay it back, they shouldn't have any problem asking for it. But usually, I'm going to say this about people. If someone comes to you in need of a loan and they already have a job, they already, okay, that's never happened before. I don't know what that was all about, but my stream just cut off out of nowhere, guys. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me as well. Let me ask you guys that one good time in the chat. I don't know why that happened, but like I said, usually people who are the type to want to borrow money, and let me just make sure I can hear myself. Let me see what's going on. Let me test it out. Testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three. Okay, we're good. Okay, usually those type of people, they have bad credit and they don't have integrity. Usually people who always need to borrow money, they don't have integrity. They have poor spending habits and they have poor money management. So if you're loaning them hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, then that's very risky. So you need to protect yourself if you feel that bad for them. Um, because most of the time they're not going to pay you back. They're just not going to pay you back. And who has money just to give away, right? So if you give it as a gift, release it mentally, and let it go. Let it go. You helped someone out, you gave them something, and let also give them the money with the caveat that there won't be a next time. Okay, I'm going to give you this money. I'm going to give you this $1,000. I'm going to give you this 2K because you fell on hard times. You had an issue with your car. You, whatever. Your baby daddy left you, whatever. But I'm going to give you this 2K this time, but next time won't be a next time. I think that should also be the case. Put it in writing if you want it back, if you feel like you're going to need it back. But mostly just give it as a gift and um, have faith that God will bring that back to you. Because I do believe that when we are a blessing to others, God will bless us. So, but I don't think that God blesses fools. If you just foolishly give your money away, that's on you. A lot of times, let me say this, a lot of times, and I'm jumping ahead, but a lot of times we give away money and we think we're being do-gooders, but God didn't tell us to give that money away. And then later on, if we gave the money away, it may be a blessing that we need for another season, a season that's coming, right? So we done gave out money, we gave out things, and I've done that before. I've given people things and then I needed it. And when I needed it, nobody was around. So be cautious about that if you really feel strongly about wanting to help someone, or if you're kind of like, should I do it? Should I not? Pray about it, sit with it, think about it. Don't be in such a rush or feel like you should do it because you're being led by guilt. Really think about these things. Um, the question for you guys watching, and if you're on a replay, you can answer this as well. Is it selfish to say no if you have it? Like I say, I'm building up my savings, I'm building up my emergency fund, and that's money that I'm not even using for myself right now. It's for an emergency for me. But what if someone comes to me and they need something and it's a serious need? This is a person that normally pays their bills, normally makes sure that they take care of all their responsibilities, but they got sick or whatever. Should I still give it to them if I'm building my emergency fund? I mean, that's when things get a little bit iffy, right? So, segment two, we're going to move on from that about loaning money and things of that nature. And we're going to go a step further and talk about investing in our friends' businesses. Okay. Now, I'm an indie author, right? I publish my own books. I don't have a publisher. So when I write a book and I publish it, everything is on me. I've never had someone invest in my books and say, hey, here's $1,000. I want to give you a love offering for a cover. People think they're doing you a big favor by buying your books. And I don't want to sound ungrateful, but you know, that's the least you can do because I would do that for you. I buy Girl Scout cookies just on the strength that I'm trying to support Girl Scouts. I don't have any daughters in Girl Scouts, and Girl Scout cookies are $1 million a box, but I'll buy some just to support. Who won't support someone and buy like a $10 book or a $20 book? And I know some of you will probably say, well, my family sure didn't buy my book. Well, your family is butt wipes. But most of them are going to buy a book, throw it in the closet somewhere, never read it, or really support you anyway. So, but I'm grateful for the ones who have bought books, but I would be probably just, I don't know, you could probably knock me over with a feather if somebody said, listen, I see how hard you're working, and I know that you're doing this all on your own. Here's $500 for a book cover or towards your book cover. Here's $1,000 towards your promotions. Wow. So, um, I want to be able to do that for someone who is creating something or has a business, and you don't owe me back. But, and I think too, that kind of gets, especially when you're an author, I think that should go more towards like it being a gift because I wouldn't want someone to give me $1,000 towards the publishing of my book and then they're what if I what if it's a major seller now they're feeling like well you owe me so I don't know if sometimes I think and that's what we're going to talk about right now when it comes to investing in the business should it be an investment or should it be a donation. And for me, I think it just depends on how much money you're investing. Is it a one time thing or is it going to be something that you're doing every month? I know people who have catering businesses. I know people who have daycare businesses, all sorts of businesses, and they're just getting off the ground and they need the seed money to get started. I think that if you're a friend or a family member and you want to help that person to get their business off the ground, give them a donation because at the beginning, there's so much money that is necessary to start the business in itself. Who has time to figure out, okay, this person gave me $2, that person gave me 300. They're just getting the business off the ground and it's just starting to make money. They don't have money to pay you back, right? Especially if they're starting from nowhere. And I think that's kind of petty to be like, well, I helped you get your business off the ground, and say it's 6 months later, and that person is just starting to generate income, and here you come. Well, I gave you $300 to help you get the mural done, and that person is putting all of their time and energy into it, and here you come wanting a piece of the pie. No, give them a donation if you have it. Perhaps maybe I don't know if it's a nonprofit, then they can give you a receipt and it can be a tax deduction. Especially if it's a nonprofit. Nonprofits don't make a lot of money to begin with, and usually when you have a nonprofit, your business is being ran based off of donations from others. So if you have something, don't come back saying, "Well, I gave your nonprofit this, that, and the others. I need this from you." And also, Don't expect that person who is on a shoestring budget and who is just getting started to be able to double back and spend the block and be able to support you in what you're doing. Because again, depending on what it is, that business is already taking up most of their time and most of their money just to get off the ground. Now, maybe a couple of years later, when they're established, right, and they have a foundation built, maybe they may want to circle back and support you in whatever it is you're doing. But don't expect it because people forget too. So that's just what I have to say about that. Um, do you believe in the business model or just the person? Um, does it matter if the business ideal is a good one that you can get behind? Or do you care more about if that person has integrity? Because that's something you want to do as well. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know if I should keep telling my stories, but I have shady. I definitely have some shady family because something as small as a as a family reunion. Okay, I've given my money for my family reunion deposit and then get the money back. So those are things that you have to think about too. Is this person just out to get a money grab? Is this person just saying, okay, I'm going to start this? Because you want to think about that too. I think you definitely want to consider, okay, is this something that this person can legitimately get going, or is this just a pipe dream? But, if that person is of good moral character, if they usually finish what they start, then you may say, you know what, I don't know about this ideal that you got going. I don't know if this is going to work, but I know you. And I know that when you come up with an ideal, you're serious about it, you're going to see it through, even if it doesn't work. So I believe in you. And even though I don't know if this is going to work or not, I'm going to support you because I know that you are very ambitious and you are very much responsible when it comes to getting things done. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is the money you give based on what type of person it is, or based on, like if that person is motivated, a self-starter and a completer, or is your donation or investment tied to whether they can actually be successful at that? Let me know in the comments what you think about that. um if you have the money and you see someone could use it, are you a bad friend if you don't invest? um I think so. I think so. I know families who have been able to just thrive and do so well because one person thought of something and the whole family got behind them. In my community, that doesn't happen a lot. One person will struggle to pull themselves up by the bootstraps to buy a house or to start a business, and there's usually no one there to help them financially. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm praying for you, and girl, you got this. I know you. I know you can do it. God is with you. You're gonna get what you need." But they're not really saying, or they want to come to the housewarming and bring a set of sheets, but no one said, okay, well, I see you're trying to buy a house and I know you need your down payment and I know you got it covered, but I want to give you $1,000 to help with those closing costs, right? And I think that's what we should do more of. Less birthday gifts, less girl trips, less getaways, and more investing, more investment parties, more families uniting on a front and coming together and saying, hey, this year for Christmas, instead of us giving kids gifts, because I mean, who knows what happens with those gifts in a month or so, in a few weeks, those kids aren't playing with those toys. That shirt gets worn a couple of times and it's at the back of the closet. But if the family comes together and say, you know what, and after we have our Christmas dinner, let's talk about our mission and our goals for next year and how we're going to make our family situation a little bit better. Why not do things like that? And if you haven't thought about doing that, I'm here to motivate you to do that. Get together as a family, get serious about increasing your wealth and increasing your financial standing. Stop spending money and start making more money. I mean, I'm not trying to preach or lecture, but real talk, right? Um, so yeah, I think that if you have a few extra thousand laying around and you have a friend who could use it, you are a bad friend if you don't. If that's your friend, if that's your family member who you know is serious about their business and who you know will put in the work and the effort to achieve their goal, if you know you can help them and you don't, yes, you are a bad friend, in my opinion. If you disagree, sound off in the comments and let me know. But that's just me. That's how I feel about it. Um, Segment three, tithing and giving to church. Now, I'm a tither, I'm a Christian, and I do believe in tithing. I know a lot of people do not believe in tithing for some reason, which is beyond me. We have, and most of us have, not me, because I know better. I won't even say most, I'll say some. Some people will say they love the Lord, they believe in God, but when it comes to tithing, that's the biggest area where they are disobedient at. They have so little knowledge about it. It's like, do you read the word? Do you really know God? Because Paul said that we are supposed to work so that we have something to give to our brothers, right? And I think people feel like, wait a minute, why am I working? Why am I trying? Because sometimes others fall short because of illness, because of whatever reason, because there was a loss of life in their family. Any number of things can happen. They can get laid off from work. And if you're working and if you're tithing and if you're saving money and putting it aside so you can help someone else and you can stand in the gap for your brother or sister in Christ. Now, that's one reason why we should tithe and have love offerings. But also, if we don't tithe, who's paying for the lights to stay on at the church? Who's paying for the location for the building? Who's paying for that? Who's paying to make sure that your reverend, your pastor, your bishop has a living wage? A lot of pastors in the black church, they're ministers full time, but then they're also working full time jobs. And that should not be the case. If you are pastoring a church, if you are the head of the church, your time should be spent studying the word and writing out your sermon for the week. Your job should be to show up at hospital bedsides, um, officiate weddings, counsel your congregation. But a lot of pastors can't do that. They don't have enough time to do that because they're busy working full time jobs. Also, if you are a member of a church, then your tithe should be going to a benevolent fund, right? You should be assisting with charities, with showing up to donate your time. You should be showing up to help give away free meals and things of that nature. A lot of churches don't have the bare necessities of what they need because people don't believe in tithing. They don't see the need for it. They feel like if I give my money to pastor gonna be driving around in a big Cadillac and he's gonna be living in a mansion. Who? Where? Yes, there are mega churches. Yes, there are pastors who are living high on the hog, but that's few and far between because most churches are very small. Most churches are very poor. They don't have a lot of money to do the smallest things. So how can they drive a big Cadillac if no one is tithing? A lot of pastors lose their churches. They don't have enough chairs. They don't summertime and it's hot because they can't afford an HVAC system. I can think of a lot of different things, but as a Christian, I do believe in tithing and I do believe in um, that tithing is a part of your worship and your obedience. And I know why we tithe. That's why it's so important that you find leaders that you believe in and who you know are Bible based and who are responsible, right? So that when you tithe, you don't feel like you're being robbed. And sometimes you might be right, you are being robbed, but that still doesn't negate your obedience and your responsibility to do what God said do, and that's to give 10%. And some of you guys say, well, I tithe and you're giving like $100 here, $20 there, but that's not 10%. If, for instance, you make, and some people tax, I don't know if you tax, if you should tithe before tax or after tax, but some people tithe, say their gross is $5,000, right? You're supposed to tithe $500 a month because that would be 10% of your income. How many of us are doing that though? Like if you make $10,000 a month, are you tithing 1,000? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, chat. Come on, let me know. Let me know something. Uh, should you? Are my comments turned off? Let me see. Let me see. Cause y'all so quiet. Let me see. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're good. Y'all just quiet, I guess. Um, should you tithe if you're in debt? Should you tithe if you're in debt? Jesus said, "Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God." So you shouldn't be. You should be paying your debt, and you should be paying your tithes. Okay, it doesn't matter if you got yourself in debt. Paying your tithes will actually help to get you out of that. I know so many people who are religious tithers, and although they are not rich in material possessions, they are rich in blessings. I met someone recently. I was at a jewelry store, and this woman had a rock on her finger. When I tell you, and she told me how she and her husband always made sure that they paid their tithes no matter what. Even when times were hard, they still paid their tithes. And their marriage was like 30 years. And she said, we are not, rich people, but one of my children, we had two children. One of my children they own like a gym. And the other child, I think she said, was a doctor or something like that. So her children did very well for themselves, and she and her husband were in good health, and their marriage was in good health. So things like that. And it's not like, okay, I can buy favor from God, but when you're obedient and when you tithe and you do what God requires of you, and that's just one requirement outside of um, being obedient and following His commands. But when you do what you need to do and you tithe, that's an act of obedience, and God rewards those who are obedient. Recently, I retired from work, and I had been off work uh, for a couple of years, right? And since I'm off work, I feel like, shoot, I think I can go back to work now. But no, not really. I'm over that, real over that. That's why I'm doing better. But I don't think people really understand that being able to run a business, to wake up every day and to feel good enough to go to your business or to go to work. I don't think we really realize how blessed you are. There are so many people who, for whatever reasons, due to physical health, due to mental health, are unable to even take care of themselves. They need help just to get out of bed, or they have children and they can't take care of their children because they don't have the emotional or mental wherewithal to do that. And, just doing something like paying your tithes, God will bless you to be able to provide for your family. Um, and so that's why I always try to tithe. And I'm not going to lie to you and say I'm religious. I'm not religious about anything, but I do give frequently, and I'm working towards getting to the point where I'm being very obedient and doing at least 10% because I feel like that will be rewarded. I feel like that is worship, and I feel like that's what's required. Also, can you give time instead of money? I know people talk about stuff like that, like giving your time. Well, when you think about it, time is money, right? And we exchange, when we work, we exchange our time for money, right? If we work an hour, then we get paid a certain amount for working for that hour. So if you think about it, then yes. I don't know. Mm, I don't know. That's a little iffy, but I would say yes. I would say yes. If I go to church on the weekends and I clean the church every week, or if I cook a meal for the congregation. I remember this church I used to go to, Lord bless her heart. Um, this woman is resting in peace. But honey, when I tell you, she used to make some greens and roast like you wouldn't believe. I can't even tell you because I was a teenager. I can't tell you half of the sermons that I went to. But I can still remember how her greens tasted. I can remember how her roast tasted. That woman could cook her butt off. She had, big meaty elbows like me, so her food was good. But if you're taking your money to go buy food, or even if the congregation is donating to that meal, if you're spending a few hours in the kitchen to cook it and you're donating your time to do that, then I feel like, that is tithing because you're doing something out of love for the whole congregation. Um, Also, another thing, I always question, right? Is given to charities. Is that also could that also be seen as tithing? I don't have a church home at the time, so what I do is, and we're going to talk about this too a little bit later, but what I do is I ask God to give me someone to help out or let me know someone who may need something and I give it to them. Or one of my favorite charities I'll donate to because I don't have a church home. That is something that you can do as well if you are not a member of a church. If you want to give to cancer research, if you want to give to Children's Hospital, to Project Angel Food, all of those charities, in my mind, they are very helpful in the community, especially Project Angel Food is some food. If someone is sick, they make sure that they have their meals. Children's Hospital, I love to donate to them because if your child is sick, they will take care of everything. Um, Make a Wish Foundation, if you have cancer, they will allow you to make a wish and it's all funded by them. So charities like that I like to help because I know that that money is actually going towards helping out individuals. I believe they are. So and I've seen them at work. I've seen them actually helping people. So if that's not the case, I don't know. But if you don't have a church home, pray to God and say, hey, Father God, um, can you direct me to someone who may be in need? But I'm going to talk about how that can go as well if you do that. Um, so I think it's best to just find a charity and donate anonymously, or donate to somewhere where it won't be as personal, right? And that's on again, if you have a church home, your tithes belong to your church home. If you don't believe your tithes should go there, then you shouldn't be there either. So yes, tithing is all about using your faith versus financial wisdom, because I know some of us will put our humanness in and involve that. Well, I can't really afford to this month, so I'm not going to tithe. I only made this. And again, I've heard people say, listen, I had $10 and I put that in church. I didn't have any money. And the next day I got a check in the mail. And I wasn't expecting it. I got a check for $2,000 and I didn't have any money in my bank account, only had $10. And I can tell you, while I was off work, honey, oh my gosh, I relied on God to take care of me and my kids. But there was one time I went to church and I only had like enough for that week. I had very little money. And a visiting pastor got up and talked about, and I had said the week before I would donate this $100. Well, I thought, okay, I would get some money from somewhere else. I don't know what I was thinking. So I had said that I would. In that week, the week prior, I think I gave $100, and the next week I gave my last $100. And I had a huge light bill that needed to be paid. Well, I didn't get the money for the light bill, but I was able to, make some arrangements, and I came out even better because that light bill was high. It was high. It was high. But I was able to make arrangements and get that taken care of. And not only that, I was able to be blessed because at first I was like, that was dumb. Why would you take, you didn't have no money. You didn't have no business giving that church your last bit of money. And it was probably a money grab anyway. That pastor was probably just getting up there and shucking and jiving to get a silly person like you to give your last money. And I kind of thought about it and I was just like, you know what, you did it out of obedience, but you did it also looking for a blessing. But don't worry about the blessing. Worry about being obedient. You said you would give it, you gave it, and God would repay you back. So it took a couple of months, but when I say God paid me back, big time. So that's what the last thing I want to leave on tithing. Don't think of it as you being stupid or being foolish. Think of it, especially if you're a Christian. If you're a Christian, this shouldn't even be debatable. If you know that the word says, and if you're a Christian, your walk should be based on the Bible. If you don't base your walk on the Bible, you're not a Christian. If you're not a Christian, then tithing or whatever else I'm talking about probably doesn't matter to you anyway. So, whatever. Okay, segment 4, boundaries and scripts. Okay, let's talk about what we can say when people come to us asking for money, right? Instead of saying, I can't, if someone asks to borrow money or if you're considering investing, how about that's not in my budget right now? Or I don't mix money and relationships. Some people may be like, well, and I know sometimes we give money out of fear. I know I've done it. I've been guilty of it. Like, what if it was me? I always try to be empathetic and sympathize with others when they come to me for money. And I always say, well, what if it was me? What if I needed help? And you know what? When I needed help, I just needed help because there was nobody to ask or anyone that I felt comfortable asking. And I just had to rely on God. And I remember my last season of lack, I had to remind myself that you see how God is providing for you? Well, God is going to provide for those he loves, those who worship him, and and he's going to be merciful and provide even for those who aren't. God smiles or he reigns on the just and the unjust. So it's not up to me to play God and walk around feeling sorry for people and just handing out money. And I'm starting to learn that, okay, based on, oh, what if it was me? If I give out money, it's based on, okay, this is something I can afford. This is extra. This is out of my overflow. This is something that I can give as an act of obedience out of worship. I'm not giving it because I feel guilty. I'm not giving it to um, garner any type of favor with someone. I'm doing it because my heart was led and because I know that it's the right thing to do. That's the only reason why I want to give out money these days because, again, when I didn't have and when I was lacking, no one was there but God. So don't allow the fact that you feel fearful to come into if you should give someone money, especially if it's going to take away from the money that you need and you don't have the overflow. Don't let guilt be the decision maker, okay? Also, you can tell your friends, you know what? I'm cheering for you and I'm here to support you. If you need someone to listen, to be a sounding board in your decision making, but right now I'm not investing at this time. And when you have to make those type of pronouncements, it may not sound good for others to hear, and it may not be really comfortable for you to say, but people have to respect it. People have to respect it. And if you're that person who may have been in need and you didn't get what you needed from somebody else, respect it and move on, because I bet you survived it anyway. And I think that that's the lesson too, that people will survive. We're not God. We're not, listen, we're not here to solve everybody's problems. We couldn't do it even if we wanted to, we're not God, and that's not our job to make sure everybody feels whole. We can't do that, right? But there will be times where God leads us and gives us the unction. I want you to be used as a vessel to help that person. And I think to deny that is is morally wrong. But if God hasn't led you to do that, then you're acting out of order anyway. God will tell you who he wants you to help when he gives you money, right? When he gives you an overabundance of money, he will, if you pray and you're living your life right, God will lead you to where he wants you to be a blessing. Just be open and ready to do that, right? So when we think about money and relationships, we have to remember that boundaries help protect our relationships, right? Because money, money can, people say money is the root of all evil, or the Bible says money, the love of money is the root of all evil. But I've seen people just act in the most devilish ways, the most evil ways when it comes to money. Money can't really buy anything worth having, first of all. Once you get money and you buy things that you want, now people say, well, that's easy to say when you have money, when you are doing well. True, because when you don't know how to feed, how you're going to feed your babies, the last thing you want to hear is that is that money doesn't buy everything or money won't make you happy. Right now, money would help me feed my kids, and that's what money is for. Money is for making sure that you can take care of your needs and some of your wants, right? It's not for just splurging all the time, right? So be proud of yourself if you have enough money to make sure that your kids are fed, your bills are paid, and you can vacation from time to time. You don't need a lot of money to do all that, right? And bless others. Okay, that's what money is for. Believe it or not, money is for being able to help each other. Those of us who are in need, when we are led by the Spirit to do so. Okay. Also, being able to say no helps prevent resentment later. If it's going to make you be resentful of somebody, and I can tell you, nothing makes me more resentful than giving somebody my money or blessing them with my money. And you gave them money and because you thought they needed it and they turn around and they're out getting a hair weave. Or B, I gave you money, but when I needed it or when I needed some help, you were nowhere around. Or C, I gave you money and I found out that you took your money and did and were irresponsible with it, right? And then you came to me because you thought that I was a fool, right? And you thought you could use me. I've seen people do that. I remember I had a family member that said, oh, one thing I like to do is pretend like I know, or no, she said, this person said, I know how to pretend like I don't have money. I think that was like, as life would have it, I don't have anything else to do with that person. But when that person said that, I made it my business that I was never going to do anything else for them, because this person has a habit of always wanting to go with you somewhere. Or she's just a nice person. I mean, not a nice person, but she was just a cool person that you would be like, okay, I'm going here. You want to come ride with me? Like if you had something to do or somewhere to be, and you just wanted somebody to ride shotgun. That family member was good for doing that, but they was also good for never having any money. Like they never had money. Or they would say or act like they never had money. They didn't even probably really offer it up. Lastly, another thing that ticks me off like no other is someone who never has money for the things that they need because they gave their money away. And I'm going to say to a woman or a man. You know what I mean? And I've had friends and family members like that, unfortunately. They're not in my cipher. I don't deal with them, but I know family members who will go to their mother and say, "Well, can you help me pay my light bill?" And they've helped a man or given a man all their money, or they helped a man buy a car. I've seen it all, y'all. Money getters, I hate to say it, but I know people like that. I think I talked about that last night. I knew someone who got their taxes and just signed it over, not even to their husband, but to the not even their baby daddy, but to their boyfriend. Gave it all to him. I know people who do silly stuff like that, child. And then when it's time to buy their kid a pair of shoes, you got to feel sorry and buy the kid a pair of shoes because the mom didn't put the kid first. I've seen people do that. Their boyfriend, if he has habits, if he drinks or if he likes his herbal, he got everything he needs. I've seen men dressed down to the ground in brand new Jordans or whatever, and the woman looks like, you know, like girl, and the kids look even worse. That makes you resentful when you get to people like that or when you see people like that. Um, Fortunately for me, I don't have those type of people in my life, but over my years on this earth, I've seen it and I've unfortunately heard other people discuss it. I don't like people coming to me with those type of stories because it's just gonna piss me off, you know. What's good, Jazzy? Jazzy coming through the door. I love stuff like that, Jazzy. I love when my money getters come through the door with a super chat like that. What's good with you? I knew you guys were in the bushes tuned in. You guys are at work or whatever. Thank you guys for tuning in. Jazzy says, someone asked me for $250 for a supposed emergency. The next week they had a new tattoo. I'm telling you, over the years, I've had stuff like this happen to me, and it makes you. And I'm grateful to God because I'm telling you, I have people in my family. You can't get nothing from me, and if you can't borrow money, you can't. They know, they can't even ask. Um, if it's my nieces or something like that, and they call me up and say, "Hey, Auntie, I need such and such," I would do it. But grown people, oh, absolutely not, absolutely not. I know I got people in the bushes. I see people in my chat. Please hit the like button for your girl. But y'all, we're going to keep our money in our pockets this year. If God doesn't say, hey, open up your wallet, keep it closed. Keep it closed and hit the like button for me, guys. Give me some hearts, some something. But keep your wallets closed because ain't nothing business smart. There's nothing worse than being a fool. A fool and their money is soon parted, okay? If you are foolish with your money, why would you expect God to keep blessing you if you weren't a good steward over your money? Proverbs 31 women, they consider how to spend their money. They think twice about how to spend their money. Right, Jazzy says you ain't lying. The answer is no this year. No, the answer is no. I love that song by Summer Walker. you know, um, yeah, say no. Just say no. Like that old dare slogan. We learned that in elementary, most of us. Say no. And Sunshine, if you drive and quit texting, girl, be safe. Thank you for tuning in and listening. But tell them no. God will bless them. Like I said, I'm telling you what God loves. I didn't have it. Nobody came through for me, but God did. I remember when I first got off work, I was I was doing terribly mentally, physically. I remember my knee even went out. That's how bad I was doing. I couldn't even stand up on my knee because I was so stressed out. And I was just like, ugh. And I just had a feeling because sometimes I get this feeling there's a check in the mail. Shout out to anybody who's ever had that feeling, anybody that's listening. May God bless you with a check in the mail, especially if your finances aren't doing good right now. May God bless you with a check in the mail, honey, because we don't really get checks in the mail these days, right? We get a lot of direct deposits. Well, I don't know what I did or how I did it, but my mother had told me earlier in the summer before I took off work, she said, when you get those what is it, class action suits, fill them out because one time I got $500 and I was like, okay. She said, sometimes it might be $40. Sometimes she said, but one time I even got $1,000 from a class action suit. And I was like, okay. So I got one and I was at work and I was just, because I always had a lot of free time at work. So there I was sitting in my office at my desk and taking care of my personal business, as some of y'all are doing right now. You don't have no business at work, being at work, listening to this live and comment, but you are on company time. Jazzy. Just look them up. If you get a class action suit, it could be from your cell phone bill. They charge you too much. Your cable company charge you too much. It could also be that your information was exposed in a system somewhere. You never know. Sometimes it might be, I think the last check I got for was for $8. I can't remember if I cashed it or not. Maybe it was $10 for something I had or whatever. It could be for a credit card that you have. It could even be from your finance company. They charged you too much. So if you get those class action suits, those postcards, if they have your email, sometimes they will even email you, but you can search it up and see if it's legit or not. I know Amazon most recently they had something. Kaiser, I'm a Kaiser member, and they just recently sent out something for Kaiser members. I gotta get on that. I gotta get on that. I don't know. I want my little $2, whatever it is. But guys, listen. So this year, I was probably waiting on like my Aflac. Because if you don't have Aflac and you're working, you should have Aflac. That comes through in a clutch. Maybe I was waiting on my Aflac. Maybe I was waiting on my my whatever because I was off work. So I probably had time on the books, but not 100% time on the books. When you work for the county, you could have like sick time, vacation time, then you have 65% time, 50% of whatever your hourly wage is. I can't remember where I was at with it, but once everything came together, I was going to be straight, but right then and there, I wasn't. So I needed some money. And I was like, where I wonder what happened to that class action suit because remember, I filled out the paperwork to get it. So I'm like, I feel like something coming in the mail. Maybe they sending me my little $100. Tell me why it was like $2,000. $2,000. And I remember earlier one of my coworkers, she had got something similar. That's another reason why I think I was really like paying attention that time. Because usually, like you, Jazzy, I just toss them in the mail. Look into Aflac. If you work, don't sleep on the Aflac. I don't think I paid too much. Like I used to have it to where I had I think if you got I had a rider for cancer, I had a rider for if I had to take off work due to an on the job injury, I had a rider for if I had an off the job injury. And I hear now they even have a rider for if you take off due to mental illness. So it probably varies by state. It probably varies by your job. I don't know. But if you are an employee, I don't know if they do it for a business, like, people who have businesses. I don't know. I probably need to call Aflac because I sound like you're. I'm telling you, I probably need to check into that because I be working from home, doing my own self, whatever. I'm a content creator and an author and a consultant. Let me call up Aflac while I'm telling y'all to do it. But yes, they come through in the clutch, and usually they'll take the money right out of your paycheck, so you don't miss it. And then, of course, it has to be substantiated by your doctor. Um, they have to give you paperwork. If you're off work, sick or whatever. But it's it's good. It's one of those insurances that is really good if you get hurt on the job. And I remember when I first started my job as a probation officer, a lot of people would say, "Oh yeah, they're all getting that county money and getting Aflac and stuff like that." And I said, "Well, because I had so much integrity, I was so honest. I'm like, I'm not going to be one of those people who tries to game the system." And then finally, one of my colleagues, he was one of those people that's lived at work. He was one of those type of people that try to work 24 hours if he could. He like literally lived at work, guys. He found him a bedroom in like a closed down like I worked at like a juvenile camp, right? He found an old building and he made his bed up in there. He would go get him a couple of sandwiches from McDonald's and he would sleep in there and go take a break and sleep for 4 or 5 hours and get back on it. And so one day we had a conversation. He told me, he said, "Okay, so what if you don't get hurt on the job? What if you on your way to work and you get in an accident? Or what if you get pregnant?" And finally I said, And I ended up signing up for Aflac. And then what would you, as luck would have it, or blessings, I guess, I don't believe in luck, blessing, I was pregnant a couple of months later. But what if I hadn't got that insurance before I got pregnant? So if you're definitely pregnancy age, and like if I was working now, I went through that, I'm going through this LCIS journey. If you need to take off work for any reason, especially if you get put in the hospital, honey. If you got to go have surgery, you get put in the hospital, you lose a limb, good insurance to have. And we need to do a whole live about that. She put out that outfit. I know that's right, mama. I know that's right, mama sunshine. Yes. Um, those are things that we need to have. And I know a lot of us are living, not all of us, but some of us, we are living off shoestring budgets and we can't really afford to. But I feel like we can't afford not to have insurance, just like we need insurance on our car, we need insurance on our homes, we need our health insurance. Those are things that we just have to budget for. We got to say no to all the extras and make sure we have that insurance, especially if we're working, because we just never know. Yes, I will do a live on it. It's been a while since I've been at work and since I got Aflac, but I know people who they realized I was getting it, and that's how I was able to. Let me tell you something. You get an Aflac check and you get your disability check. Um, because I worked for, I was a public servant, so I would have my vacation time, and I would have that. But I think Aflac is only for like a year or something like that. But it can kind of put you ahead of the game, right? It'll put you in ahead of the game. But um, at that time, I much rather would have stayed at work because I could have still been collecting my my money from work. I could have been putting that money into my 401k, all that stuff. So when I was off work, it wasn't because I wanted to be off work. I didn't want to be off work at all. I actually wanted to be at work, but I just could not. My health did not permit. So Aflac is for health issues or if you get cancer. Um, and I knew a lot of people while I was working, like you're 40, 50, 40, 50, 30 to 60, right? Because cancer couldn't get any of us, right? But I know so many people who were still going to work, going to get chemo, and then going to get work. Some people want to still show up to work because they don't want cancer to affect their lives like that. But some people, if you can't do it, you can't do it. And you shouldn't have to feel guilty about not being able to do that. That's why AFLAC has a provision for those who have cancer. And if you get it, and if you've been paying your insurance, they will pay you while you're off work. Daily Sis with Jazzy J says the COs I used to work with used it to go out and come back the next year with brand new cars. I'm like, so they doing that where you at? What they used to they used to say, oh, that's one of them staff. I knew staff that would come to work and trip and fall. Look, when I had my babies, I had three babies as a probation officer, and I would go off work and come right back. They'd be like, "Oh, you didn't go off right." I'm like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" Because some women they would go off work and stay gone for a whole year. I was coming right back. I wanted my job. I wasn't going to play around, and I wasn't into. I've never been into all that fraud stuff. I'm too scary for stuff like that. But I know people who did do it because, like I said, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be one of those staff who are gaming the system and all that different stuff. I just didn't want to do that. But as misfortune would have it, I ended up really needing to have Aflac and to, you know, I benefited from it. My children benefited from it. Why shouldn't they? I paid for my insurance. I was legitimately disabled and I needed my money. I mean, but listen, it's not, you know, it's not gaming the system. I know that you were recently off work, Sunshine. Um, that's not gaming the system. I know your mom, you said your mom was recently ill. She was at the hospital. That's not gaming the system if something is legitimately wrong with you. And if it so happens that you have two insurances, you have your sick time from work, and you're able to have your Aflac too, it is what it is. That's what it's for. So make sure that you're taking those few extra dollars out and making sure that you are getting that insurance so that you can take care of your health. And we got off topic, but hey, that's what happens over here. This is all about the money over here. Jazzy says, your job only offers FMLA. That's why you that's why you need to have something like AFLAC to supplement your income. We're at that age. We're at that age where we don't know what can happen. We can, who was it? Peachy? She was just walking down the steps, she said, and she tripped and fell and broke her leg. And so she was off work for some time. So, no, when things like that happen, we got to be able to supplement our income. Jazzy says, I was walking with one of the officers in the jail in my Crocs and slipped. She whispered to me, lay down, start crying. Girl, girl. Like I said, I remember one woman, they said she was pregnant. And I hope these people not listening. I'm not saying no names. And I don't know if she did it or not because I didn't see it, but she was in the courts pregnant. And they said she got on one of a swivel chair like this. Just imagine me standing on this swivel chair and getting up here to grab something, like get this elephant down, and falling. And I'm 8 months pregnant. Girl, I don't think I ever seen that lady come back to work. And I heard somebody say she said she wasn't never coming back. She had had her second child. Maybe she was like almost 40, and she had recently gotten married. But yeah, she had got her a baby, and honey, she was gone. I never seen her back again. I never seen her again. I think I had ended up getting pregnant after her, but she never came back. Honey, she tripped. I mean, she fell from a swivel chair. Who would be standing on a swivel chair in her 8th month of pregnancy trying to reach a microwave to put something in the microwave? And you got a partner to help you do that anyway. Um, I don't know how it works. I don't want to tell you any lies simply because it's been so long since I've gotten Aflac. But Aflac used to come to my job frequently and my union. At one point, I had Aflac through my doggone union and on the side. So I would call Aflac up and talk to them about it and see, because I don't think you have to necessarily get it through your job. So, because I know people who just called up the number and talked to someone, and they have brokers probably in your area, but definitely check it out. And they do have a waiting period, and make sure you know what type of insurance you're getting, what type of waiting periods there are, um, if and how it applies to. I don't think it would apply to like an existing condition. So it would have to be something new that you've never been treated for before. You know what I mean? So how long we been on here? Oh, we've been on an hour, and I done left my whole script. Um, Now drop a money bag if you've ever been burned by a loved one or a friend when it came to money. And I can say I've been burned. I've been burned plenty of times. I've been burned by, I think I'm still owed a few $1,000s from, someone who owed me money from 20 years ago. And I remember one time someone said, "Oh, if you do XYZ, I'll give you this," right? I got burnt a lot with people wanting me to get cars for them. Jazzy hurried up. I knew it, simply a Jazzy. Care to share? Care to share if you do, post it in the comments. But I remember people would say, "Oh, can you go get me a washer and dryer?" This person would say, "I get them a washer and dryer." They didn't make one payment on it. And I find out 6 months later they never made a payment on it, not even one. Or can you sign your name? I need help getting a car, and I would never do this again. I don't do. Can you rent me a car? I don't do. Can you co-sign? I don't do none of that. None of that. And I really don't do. Oh, do you have a couple of $100s I can borrow? I really don't do that. If I, like I said, if I want to give it, I'll give it, but I don't do that. Don't ask me for money, because you get money just like I do. And I've been down to nothing. And I didn't come to you, and you knew I was down to nothing and you didn't offer. So if I want to give it, I'll give it. Daily Sits with Jazzy J says, "My cousin got mad at me for not signing for a car for her." I think I remember you saying that. Oh, well, I'd rather you be mad at me for not signing for a car. And since when do people think that we pay our credit card bills and we're saving our money just so when they feel like they want something from us, not need, want? Because if you paid your credit cards, if you were credit worthy, you wouldn't even need me to pay co-sign for you. If you were reliable and responsible, and I think that's the thing that people have to realize when deciding. And this will help you say no every time. Every time if it's not your kid, if it ain't your husband, and I'm glad I'm not married because I don't want nobody asking me for nothing. If you're my husband, you should already have it. You should have more than me. I don't want you asking me. Don't ask. I mean, you should have your own. We're both grown. If I got it, you should at least match what I have or have more. Period. But grown-ups, you're 30, 40, 21-year olds, 25-year olds, they're still learning. But beyond that, if you work every day, you're college educated, you have a decent gig, why are you asking me for stuff? Why are you asking anybody? If you're an adult, you're 30, 40 years old. By that age, if you haven't had a life altering circumstance, such as you had a stroke, a heart attack, such as you lost an income because your loved one, your spouse, has passed on. And in that case, you should have had insurance to keep you covered for a cool minute. So that shouldn't be it. Or if you didn't get laid off from work, okay? If you're a single mom, you're going through it. I know because I'm a single mom. And that's all the more reason why you don't sign for anybody. If you're a single mom, you shouldn't be signing anything for anybody because you don't have coverage if that person does you wrong. Jazzy, I know you're a single mom like me, I believe. I know you got your baby daddy, but you got your own household, right? And if somebody comes to you for something and they don't pay you back, then who's going to cover you? Like, I know you probably already cool or whatever, but if they don't come back, if they don't pay for that car, that's however many $1,000 car on your name, right? Simply says, I wouldn't do it for my husband when I was married. He was mad. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, but um, why I don't blame you, that's why when we get married, when we get our Jazzy, when you get your husband, and simply when we get our real husbands, because the first ones, unfortunately, that wasn't our real husband. But when we get our real husbands, we need men with good credit. So they don't have to ask. He needs to have good credit. He needs to have a good pension. He needs to have all of that stuff, you know, because ain't no reason why he shouldn't. We're nearing 50. There's no reason why he shouldn't have already have that established. If he's 50 years old and he doesn't have a good credit score, if he doesn't have a nice income or a nice pension or a nice savings, he ain't the one. Because God is not going, right, Jazzy, all of that. God is not sending us hardworking women who are responsible and who are God fearing and who do what we got to do. He's not sending us any bums. He's not. He's also not, because another thing that we have to worry about, and this is to the women, men, if you're listening and you disagree, you're gonna have to agree to disagree. But because I spoke about this last night as well. A lot of times, and if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button for me, guys, please, because I see some more of you done come in here by now. A lot of times, what happens is if one person has a good credit score and is business savvy and has saved up some money, a lot of times you have to be on the lookout, ladies, because he might not be marrying you. He may be marrying your credit score. He sees that, okay, so don't lead with that. Don't even let nobody know. Okay, I got an 800 credit score. I got this credit card with a $50,000 limit. Oh, he's seeing dollar signs. He's seeing dollar signs. He sees you in the brand new car. He sees that you're a home owner. He sees all that. And you even got friends. Like Jazzy said, her cousin was like, oh, could you co-sign for me? I've had distant relatives who are not even blood go to my daughter because she's a licensed driver and, ask her to rent a car. Why the hell aren't you renting a car in your own name? Why would you even ask my daughter that? And I'm like, why would you even do it? You don't do that. So you have to be very careful because people will try to game you when they think that you're in a position that's better than where they are. Like if they don't have a license, if they don't have a good credit score, they're thinking like, they're seeing you as a lick. Oh, I'm not saying be dishonest, but you don't have to be so truthful. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. They don't have to know that you have an A1 credit score. They don't have to know that you are a home owner. They don't have to know that your baby daddy is caked up and you get a nice little um check on top of the your paycheck on top of, honey, my grandma left me this house so it's paid for and it has equity because guess what, now they want to use that equity because guess what, they have an idea for a business. And it don't necessarily have to be a man. Sometimes people know you're a good person and they know you have all of these things. They know God has blessed you. And they're gonna come to you with a okey doke. It can even be your children. It can even be your children. Your kids know my mama got this and my mama got that. I always tell people I'm broke. I don't have it. I don't care because I don't. I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't care how much I got. I don't have it. Right. Thank you. Simply like the live. Hit the like button, guys. It is free. I don't know why you're listening and not hitting the like anyway. I don't know what that's about. But right, simply, right, Jazzy. Jazzy says people are opportunists. I've dealt with so many of them. I see them coming. I do, and I have to watch myself because I'm one of those people who are just. If I've been blessed, God, let me bless somebody. God, just let me bless somebody, and I have to kind of like dial it back. That's why I was like, let me do this because even recently, um, I was able to, bless someone else. And you guys know I went through my LCIS journey, right? And I didn't bless them with a lot of money, but it was a few hundred. And you guys remember I posted that I had the surgery on Facebook. Jazzy, I think you saw it. And it was right after my birthday. And I don't think I really said how I'm still recovering from that surgery. But I think because I'm the type of person I am, people don't really see sometimes that I'm um I'm going through hell and not saying it. But at any rate, the kind of surgery I went through, although um it wasn't heart surgery, it was a major surgery. I was asleep for 2 hours. It wasn't like they just went in and took a piece of tissue. No, they went in and they went in deep. They went in deep. I have a scar this wide that's still under glue. Okay, not trying to give out too much information, but it gets like that sometimes. And this person, when they were sick or whatever, I sent them a few. I was really concerned for them, and I sent them something, a love offering. And when it was me, honey child, they sent me prayer hands on a text message, and I'm like, okay. And this is why I feel like instead of giving money to people that we know personally, I think it's imperative that we take emotion out of it and give anonymously, tied to charities or tied to churches. Because if we give personally, then we're going to have personal attachments to the things that we do for others. But not even that. I don't even care about me doing something financial for you. I care about you not even have enough wherewithal to be like supportive and say, hey, how are you doing? Did you do okay? Things like that. So we just have to be very prudent over our money because people will take advantage. Or if we have big hearts, people don't even have to ask. Some people know they don't have to ask you. They don't have to say, Jazzy, can you loan me $500? They can just start mentioning. They can just start mentioning they're having a hard time because I'm guilty of that too. I'll hear someone saying that their light bill is high this month, and I'll be like, well, I can give you this on it. That money, that person had the same give money just like I do. That money, that person probably have less responsibilities. They don't have kids or anything, and I'm sitting up. Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. Just being a damn pick me. Yeah. So I have to, get better about that. But let's wrap this up. Guys, I've been on here going over an hour and I'm trying to keep these lives under an hour to make them palatable for the replay game. So when they come back, but I feel like this is a very necessary conversation and it's getting good. And I thank you, Simply and Jazzy, for helping me and keeping this conversation so engaging because some people, they need a reality check. I know someone is listening right now and they've been having a hard time saying no, or they've been feeling guilty because they did say no and they probably feel like, well, maybe I should help more. Well, I feel like this if the spirit leads you, whether you have it or not, whether you want to or not, always obey the spirit because you don't know how God is using you and what he is testing you with. God may have a way bigger blessing in store for you, but he wants to see what you will do with that little bit. So don't ever sleep on the chance to be obedient. But Be obedient to God, not your emotions. That's the thing I want to impress upon you. Don't feel guilty because of your humanness and then you do things that are just not smart, right? Right. Um, Now, lastly, type yes in the chat if money has ever changed a relationship for you. Um, I know it has with me before. Like I said, with family, I stopped giving money to certain people. Um, and also, would you rather lose money or lose a relationship? Hey, big boss, what's good? Hey, thanks for tuning in. How are you doing today? Big bad boss dog. Have you ever lost a relationship over money? Let us know in the chat, big boss. Um, Also, do you believe family first financially? Absolutely not. I do not believe that. If just because you're my family, and probably if you're my family, I probably already know you're not how much money you get, but I already know your how you deal with money. So no, I'm not giving it to you just because you're family. You never lost money over lost a friend over family, big boss. I know that's right. That's that's cool. That's what's up. I mean, I think sometimes people, I think being a man kind of probably protects you a little bit, you know, because friends and family are not going, I feel like they're not going to be as apt to come and ask a man for money. Some will, I guess, maybe if it's your child or maybe if it's your brother or maybe a sibling, they may ask. But like I have a brother and he's always like I ain't got nothing for nobody. Okay. I love when people say something like that because it lets me know not to ask you. And it also lets me know not to give you. But I'm just kidding. But I know men, they'll be like, no, men will say they don't have it even if they do. I believe in that too. I believe in family. Big Boss says he believes in family. He believes in family morals, values, and togetherness. Absolutely. But sometimes when you believe in that, when you believe in family and togetherness and each, building, and I know families like that. I know families that they vacation together, they celebrate momentous occasions together. If someone is getting married, they're banding together to make it happen. If someone has a business, they're banding together to make sure that the family all invests in that business without asking for anything. I knew someone who made way less than me, and they were able to buy a home because their family all banded together to is to make sure that they could buy their home. Single mom, like I said, made way less money than me, but they were able to do that because their family, nobody was jealous. Everybody said, okay, you need a home for you and your children. We're going to do that. I worked with a lot of single mothers who were recently divorced, and their parents said, you know what, we'll pick up the kids after school so you don't have to pay childcare. I knew a lot of single moms, their parents would say, you know what, we will help you pay your mortgage because we see what you're trying to do. You're working and you don't have a husband, so we're going to help pay for football or whatever it is that we can do to help. That's what family is supposed to do, but unfortunately that doesn't always happen. Absolutely, big boss, it's always strength in numbers, and we got to get to that point. We got to think like that because life is hard as it is, especially when you're trying to go it alone. We all need that support. Like I said, we need prayers, we need support, but we also need that money. And if you got it and you know you can spare it, I think it's kind of like, I don't know if I want to be friends or be close to someone who has it and they know they can give it to me and it wouldn't really hurt them and they just didn't do it. I know people like that. I know people they're sitting on thousands and They rather give you their limb than to give you a dollar. That's sad. That's sad because I remember my grandfather used to say, if you keep your hands like this, nothing is going out and nothing is coming in. So when you don't take an opportunity to bless someone, you're actually kind of hurting yourself. Big Boss says, shout out to my day one, my lovely bride, my hot smoking wife, and our 5-month-old baby girl, Amara. Shout out to Amara. I remember you said you had a new baby. I love y'all to the end of time. I know that's right, Big Boss. I know that's right. But absolutely, family should help one another, but also family should also be respectful of each other and not use one another and not play on emotions and feelings from one another. I think that's pretty much it. Let me see. Okay, so closing out, being generous. I think this is the I think this wraps it all up and sums it all up in a nutshell. Being generous doesn't mean being financially irresponsible. And loving people doesn't mean funding their lifestyle. Mm, mm, mm. Sorry, I'm shaking the table. Um, I mean, we we all have to be responsible for our own homes. We don't got it like that. None of us are Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos over here. We're not billionaires, right? So loving people doesn't mean funding their lifestyle. Boundaries are not betrayal. They are that's wisdom. Because if you give all your money out for little zoo zooms and wham whams, when that person really needs you, then you don't have it. They don't have it. And what about if something happens with you? You won't have it for your own household or for what you need. Okay. So thank you guys for all tuning in. I appreciate everybody that hit the like button. If you're in here and you came in and start chit chatting and you forgot to hit the like button, please hit it. Replay gang, if you made it this far, I know you probably did because we really got into some things. And we're going to be getting into some things all March long because what is money making March? And making money and we're keeping money in our pockets, not just for March, all 2026. Thank you guys. I love you all. God bless. May God bless your finances in abundance. And may you use your finances smartly in 2026.